If you want to add an additional 25 deals to your business, whatever your market is, whatever your experience is, then this is the episode that you're going to want to watch. It's really, really cool. We had a mastermind that I paid for where all the real estate agents that I either coach or on the brokerage team came into St. George, Utah. We collaborated, had guest speakers on ads, on content, on door knocking, on sales, and we talked about how do we all go get an additional 25 deals by the end of the year. And why do we talk about this? Because it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. So let's talk today from realtors that I work with all over the United States in different markets. They're going to give you practical advice so you can go get more business in your market by the end of the year. All right, guys, welcome back to the second week here in July. Super excited for this one. If you're trying to get to 25 deals by the end of the year, doesn't matter how the first 6 months went. If you had 0 deals, 10 deals, 15 deals, if you're on pace to do 15 by the end of the year, 20 by the year, or maybe you've surpassed 25 and you want to hit 50. If you want to add an additional 25 deals to your business, whatever your market is, whatever your experience is, then this is the episode that you're going to want to watch. It's really, really cool. We had a mastermind that I paid for where all the real estate agents that I either coach or on the brokerage team came into St. George, Utah. We collaborated, had guest speakers on ads, on content, on door knocking, on sales, and we talked about how do we all go get an additional 25 deals by the end of the year. And why do we talk about this? Because it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. One of the greatest examples on this is Tom Brady in the Super Bowl when they were playing the Atlanta Falcons. Most of you, if you're a sports fanatic, you remember this story. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots were down 28-3, and they came back and ended up winning that game in overtime. And it's one of the coolest stories about it doesn't matter how you start. If your 2025, the first 6 months was not how you planned, it does not matter. You can make small adjustments just like they did and finish the year on a really high note. How you end one part of the year is how you start the next. So let's talk today from realtors that I work with all over the United States in different markets. They're going to give you practical advice so you can go get more business in your market by the end of the year. So you're going to take quite a bit of notes. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. What you're looking for today is 10 things that you can do differently or in addition to what you're already doing to go do more business. One of my favorite books is 3 Feet from Gold. In this book, it talks about how most of us are so stinking close to really taking off, but we give up because we're not willing to hang in there long enough. There's a lot of unique stories of different realtors that you're going to hear in today's episode. They all have a different background. They all have unique stories and upbringings. Some of them have been in real estate for a while. Some just got their license. Some did their first deal recently. Some have done a lot of deals. You're going to get a good perspective from everybody and go look at what you can apply to go blow up your business by the end of the year. All right, so the first person we're going to have up just got his license 2 or 3 months ago in Minnesota. So if you're watching this, Max is an absolute stud. Him and I talked on Instagram in the DMs for a long time. We relate on a lot of things, and it was really cool to see him before he got his license to transitioning to where he is now. And he's got a really unique perspective on real estate and what's helping him grow that momentum to go do a lot of deals. So if you're in this position, you're going to learn a ton. Let's have Max come up and we'll chat with him for a couple minutes.
What's going on?
What up, dude? Welcome. Thanks for being on here.
Yeah, love it.
Okay, so a lot of people are going to watch this. They just got their license. They're young, 19 to 24. What are a couple things that you could tell them that's helped you build the foundation for your business? Like where you started from where you're at now, like what would you share with them?
Yeah, so a huge part of it is finding the right people with the right information that'll give it to you, because there's a lot of realtors in the industry who've been doing it for 20, 30 years, but the industry isn't the same 30 years ago as it is today. So when you're around people who know what the game is like today, they have all the information that you need to crush it today, rather than 30 years ago where it was all cold calls and your COI. Now it's people who door knock and use social media to their greatest advantage.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So you've been around real estate for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got your license, but you've been around for a while.
Yeah, I've worked for some other agents.
Okay, so you and I connected right away. It was almost a no-brainer to come to Real and then also join my brokerage team. What was it that, because I mean, like you said, you've seen a lot of it. What was it that was like, I'm going to go work there, that like called you?
Yeah, so I've worked with other agents where they say, hey, go call everybody that you know. Everyone I know is 18 years old. They're not buying a house. And it might be their parents. They're 40 years old and they don't want to buy a house from an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But you started in an area where you didn't know anybody, sold 75 homes your first year. I don't know anyone in my area who's ready to buy a house. So learning from you on how to go prospect aggressively, assertively, in the right area, speaking to the right people, saying the right things, shows me how to build my business just like you did.
One thing that's really cool I want to talk about Max real quick is you show up to role play twice a day. Every day. You write out your scripts.
Every day.
Practice in front of the mirror. How's your skill set jumped in the last 2 months?
Oh my gosh. It gets boring and repetitive every single day, but it's only that because I show up every single day. And when you hear the same thing over and over and over again, it's like watching the same movie or living Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's like Groundhog Day where you know everything that's going to happen.
Yep.
So you're able to direct it how you want it to be by the end. And that's how you lead the sale to your close.
Yeah. The reason I knew you'd do really well is because of your lifting background.
Yeah.
Like the discipline it takes to go lift the bar. That's how much you lift, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
45 pounds.
That's right. Just kidding. He lifts a lot. Not as much as me, but he lifts a lot. But I knew that you were so disciplined in the gym that would translate to, I could show him the systems that you have to repeat that are boring as heck over and over and over again. And then boom, everybody now in the role play group comments on how sharp you are, and you are because of the mundane things that you've done over time. So if you just got your license and you're watching this story about Max, go all in on the mundane, simple things that repeated over time will help you improve your skill set so you actually know what to say when you're in front of people.
Yeah, and it's going to feel clumsy for the first 2 weeks where you're falling down over and over and over again. You feel like you keep failing, or like you're inconsistent the first 2 weeks. If you can show up every single day, twice a day, and do the same boring things and fail, you learn so quickly to the point where after a month, you don't know what else to do during, let's say it's 8 a.m. for role play and 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. for role play. You just get so stuck to that schedule where you don't know what else you would do in that time. And that builds up your skill to be able to crush it on the doors, whoever you're talking to.
Yeah. Cool. Love you, buddy. Thanks for being on here. Appreciate it. Learned a ton. Okay. So if you just got your license and you're young, that's a perfect example of you can come in, be disciplined to the boring stuff over and over again, get around training. You have to have training out the gate, especially when you're young, and your business will have a solid foundation for you to build on as time progresses. All right, so the second realtor, this guy's been a realtor for 2 years. He's in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. So if you're anywhere in Tennessee, this will relate a lot to you. I actually just found out that I started coaching him and working with him when he got his license. So you're going to see somebody that's worked with me for 2 years now, and he's going to give you a lot of really good advice of how to do consistent volume over time. So if you're in that position, grab your pen and paper. You're going to take quite a bit of notes that you can go apply to help you get 25 deals by the end of the year. All right, Leonard, let's have you come up. What's up, buddy?
Have me on.
Dude, always.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So 2 years. I thought you had it for 12. I really did.
Yeah, I know. It seems like it goes by really fast and also really slow.
It's the beard. It's got to be your beard.
It's the beard. It's definitely the beard.
I know.
And the gray hair.
And you guys might be watching this and be so confused. Who's Jeremy? Who's Leonard? I mean, it looks pretty
close. Just he's got the hat on.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, Leonard, so a lot of people watch this. They've had it for 2 years, 3 years. It's a really common demographic of realtor that I work with. What advice, 2-3 things would you give with your experience with working with me, and what's helped you like get deals that you would give to help them go to 25 deals by the end of the year?
Yeah, so honestly, like the biggest thing for me is knowing what to do and what to say. So like learning from somebody, and like the role plays that we do are just so crucial because you're in there in the trenches, 2 times a day, learning what to say, how to interact with different people, different personality types. And that way, for me, what's really helped my business kind of blow up is by door knocking.
Yep.
Being on the doors. I've gotten most of my business on the doors.
Yep.
So like if you're doing an open house, or if you're just out there prospecting, circle prospecting neighborhoods, just go out there. You have to know what to say. So like the perfect thing is like, say you guys are doing an open house. You hold the house open. Do your open house. If it's really slow, like they've been here lately, what I usually do, I get there 2 hours early. I door knock around the neighborhood, let everybody know, hey, there's going to be an open house over here we're doing. Do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell that might want to move over here in the neighborhood?
And I just want to pause real quick. I remember when we first started working together, you were so diligent on taking the scripts. Like you would say, hey, can you send me a voice recording? And then you would write it out word for word. And then you would send it to me. Hey, did I miss anything? And then you would go back and practice it. And then you would role play. And then you led the role play for a while. And and it was so cool to see that like it was that attention to detail of like what do I need to say exactly? And then how can I have flexibility? Because you hunt FSBO and expireds, you do the open houses, you door knock. So you have a lot of variety, but you'd say it was because you knew what to say.
Because I knew what to say.
Yeah.
Yep. And then going out there and actually implementing it.
Yeah.
A lot of folks, they'll try to learn what to say. They'll try and learn what to do, but then they don't actually go out and do the job. I know it kind of sucks doing open houses and going out on the doors, but you have to put in the work. So hours and hours on the doors, actually implementing the good things that you do say will actually convert the results.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say one thing too, just on top of that, because that's great advice, is if you can go, I mean, Leonard got a coach right at the gate, right when you got your license, and you listened and you applied. And one thing that if whatever coach you guys get, if you can be a good learner and loyal to them, then that coach will just pour right back into you. Leonard's one of the most loyal people that I've ever met, and just such a good friend that it makes me want to just stay up late, figure out how do I help Leonard? How do I help Leonard? And a coach won't do that if a student isn't applying anything. And so kudos to Leonard for being a good friend and loyal in everything you do. But also like your growth, I thought you had your license for 12 years. I was going to introduce you like that, but for 2 years where you're at, like it's incredible advice. If you guys have had your license, go mimic him, get a coach, practice, script write, get in a role play group, whether that's the one at David Segro training or somewhere else, so that you can speed that learning curve up.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. Speeding up the learning curve. It takes a lot of people 10 years to get to where, they could be in just 10 months.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. Well, love you, buddy. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about our third person. So hopefully you took quite a bit of notes. If you've had your license for 2-3 years and you're not doing the business you want, well, there's a perfect example of where you could be if you were just doing a few of the things that he had mentioned. So grab your notes, figure out like, what did I learn? Go back and watch it, because now we're going to have the third person come up, and this will give you a different perspective on real estate and how to go advance your business to where it needs to be here in the next 6 months. All right, so the third person we're going to have up here has a really different story. He's had his license longer than me for 10 years. And I remember we had connected through YouTube and then Instagram and back and forth. He was at a different brokerage. I was at a different brokerage. And it's such a good story of timing. Everybody evolves and changes over time. But then there comes a perfect time where two people can work together and synergize on a bigger vision. The vision that David Segro training is to lower the failure rate in the industry. And I remember when I talked to Israel, I knew that him and I together, if I helped him just put a little bit more gas and efficiency on his business, his leadership experience would be able to come in and would help that grow to where it needs to be to help more realtors do more business so we can get this failure rate down. So super excited for him. If you've had your license for 8, 10, 12 years and you're in a position where you know how to do real estate, You're just missing the really tiny things to help your business go faster. It's like you're driving a Ferrari with the brake on. You know you can be going faster, but there are things that you need to get rid of. This is a perfect story for you for the next couple of minutes. So grab your notes if you're in this position. All right, Israel, let's have you come up, buddy. ¿Cómo estás?
¿Qué pasa, Jeremy? ¿Cómo estás?
Aquí estamos.
¿Trajiste el mate?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump into this. Okay. So talk to us a little bit about like if someone's in your shoes or where you were, like let's dive into your advice. Like if someone has had their license for a while, but they're not going as fast, like what's been your experience past couple months and how do we help these guys?
I think the main deal, I mean, I come from an investing background. Like that's what I got my license. So the first 7 years, 8 years, I was deep into flipping and doing all kinds of stuff for investing. So when I tried to grow my traditional real estate business, I think the one thing that's helping me right now is 100% mindset, scheduling, and also like daily and nightly routines. I kind of knew about it, but I think when you and I hooked up and got together and talk about the business and all that, now with the daily consistency, that messages you send out, things that you do that reminds me to stay on track, I think that just been helping a lot. Sometimes I think it's Atomic Habits. You probably know the book better than I do, but it says that the all or nothing principle, right? Like, because you didn't get it, then you quit. And instead of like, right now we're at 6 months mark, like you still have 6 more months of business to do. So like, don't quit. Like, just adjust your business plan and then just go work for that. So,
Love that.
Yeah.
So I think one cool principle, one good takeaway is you have to be in a group where someone's constantly reminding you to do the habits that'll help you go do business. Right? Like we have a group chat and every night, do your nightly planning, guys. Do your nightly planning. And in the morning, do your morning planning, guys. Do your morning. And that reminder all of a sudden like allows you to build that habit. And then for you, that's all it was. It was just kind of everywhere. And how do we structure this so that structure then can go faster?
Yeah. Find all the energy, just, stay on point. Yeah. 100%.
Okay. So what's changed in your business in the past 3 months? What, like if someone's got their license for 10 years, they're not doing enough business and they need to change 2 or 3 things. What do you think that would be from your experience?
I think it was like that. Like we talk about like I really didn't have a business plan maybe. Like you think you have it, but you don't write it down. Vision boards, that was huge. Like, again, I knew about it, but I didn't, I didn't apply in my business. So I think just looking to where you are coming from and how you got here, then making the adjustments that you need to do in order to move forward in the future. So in my case was that like actually taking my business plan a little more seriously and be able to adjust and focus on the things that are working. Maybe stop. Sometimes you gotta stop doing things that you're doing and just put the energy somewhere else. So
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So if you guys are watching this and you're listening to this story and you're at a brokerage or a team or in a coaching group and they're saying, do this theory, but they don't actually show you how to do it, then you're in the wrong spot. Like you got to be somewhere that they're like, do it, let me show you. And then here's a guide of how to go build it, right? Like you can't be somewhere that's like, here's all this fluff you need to do. Cause then your business is going to be everywhere. Like there's no direction or hand holding for accountability.
Yeah, and you got to go to work. You know what I mean?
You got to work.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, I've been around different brokerage, you know, and you have a get together at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, you know, and you're having drinks. I'm like, well, that's not going to work, you know? So, like you got to have the schedule that's going to reflect the goals that you want to achieve. So,
Yeah. Most of the time when I call Israel, if he's not out eating empanadas or at the pool, which is like never. But when I reach out to him, he's usually at another open house. I'm talking to a lender and we just got a buyer under contract. And it's more like focused, aggressive movement forward. So you have to work. Even if if you had your license for 10 years, to make the pivots necessary to make your business go quicker, like it's going to require a lot of work. And you're a great example of that.
And if you've been in the business for a while, then you have a huge database too. So you know what I mean? You got to use that too. Like, database that maybe you're not using the right way. So let's see how we can do that.
Right. Awesome. Okay. Well, I appreciate it, brother. Thanks a ton for being here. Okay. So that's a great example. So if you're watching this and you're in that shoes or those shoes, he's in Arizona and he's had license for 8, 10, 12 years. And it really was like just these small tweaks and accountability in the right environment and his business could go a lot faster. The same thing, it really reminds me of like Kevin Durant. If you guys are sports fanatics, Kevin Durant was world class, one of the best to ever play in the NBA, but was in the wrong vehicle for a while. And what changed? It was him going to another organization like Golden State from Oklahoma City, and he needed better structure, more accountability around more elite players. And then he won 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs. It's the same thing if you had your business for a while. It's probably your organization. There's no accountability, and you need to pivot and adjust to get your business back on pace. Okay, so let's go to our next one. So this realtor is also a really good friend of mine, and I'm so thankful that he was able to come to this mastermind. I called him, invited him. I said, hey, I want you here. This is on me. You're not going to pay a single dime. I want you to come out here because 1, we're good friends. 2, you're a good leader and you can influence the community that will be there. He has license for 6 years. He's out in New Jersey. I coached him for 12 months. He was in the role play group. We had our one-on-ones. He's a teacher. He's an excellent example of if you can buy into your community and love your people and you can think how to serve them, then your business will grow over time. If you've had your license for 4, 5, 6 years, this will be a great one. You'll take quite a few notes of where your business should be at that point and what are a couple things that you can do in order to go do 25 deals by the end of the year. All right, David, come on up, buddy. Okay. And yes, he's just as strong as he looks as he comes into frame. All right, dude. Well, appreciate you being on here.
Thank you so much for having me out.
Okay. So again, a lot of people that I work with have had my license for 4 years, 5 years. My business is not where I want it to be. I had a good year or 2. Now it's tanked. So what's been your experience like just in your career, then maybe over the last 12 months that's helped you do quite a bit of business?
I was fortunate to get licensed right before COVID. So terrible situation, but wound up being a great situation to start in the business because it was very
COVID.
hot.
Super hot.
Super hot. So as soon as I got licensed, 6 months later, COVID happened, and I was working with so many buyers that were coming out of New York City in droves. So I really just started to pick up a lot of business just because of the pure timing. So those first couple of years were very busy by just sheer being in the right place at the right time. And then as we got out of COVID and it was more so now you had to really hunt for your deals, and I found you and we connected. And obviously I was always kind of interested in the door-to-door space because when I started, I would do a little door-to-door for my open houses, and I enjoyed it because I like to speak to people face-to-face. I did cold call too, but I always enjoyed the face-to-face, and being able to link up with you and then be able to be a coaching client and now a friend. I've learned a lot, and I still learn so much every time I get to go out with you on the doors and learn. And that's kind of been really the big part of my business outside of just my database now, which I have a good amount of past clients, being able to add to that with some actual prospecting that's consistent and outbound. So you have control over that, and you can really, again, if you want to generate more business, you can go out there and hunt it down.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're watching this and you love people, you're good with people, whether you're policeman, firefighter, teacher, food industry, like you are good with people, then this is like a perfect in for you. Door knocking is going to be the perfect route for you to go because you interact with people just at their doorstep.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're such a great leader when it comes to reminding people, again, the work that you're doing today, right? It's not always wins every day. Sometimes you have some hard days and you don't get what you want. But from door knocks I've done last summer, by staying consistent and following up, I've built a great pipeline of business that's now coming to fruition from just, again, putting in the work. And maybe for whatever reason, those people weren't ready at the time, but staying in contact with them and following up. I have a lot of deals now that are in the process of closing from work I did literally 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool to see as a realtor where, you know, the work that you're doing right now, it really is. Sometimes you're 3 feet from gold. So you can't just think that today was a waste if you didn't get a deal today.
Yeah. You're such a good example of if you do treat people like people in your first interaction, then 12 months can go by and they're still going to use you.
Yes.
Because they loved that initial interaction. You looked them in the eyes. They felt appreciated, valued, and seen. And so in 12 months when they're ready, you have a good follow-up system. They'll do business with you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 2 things I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
One, yesterday we went and sold window cleaning services door to door. David's also done no soliciting signs, our competition that we did a couple of years ago, door to door. So from your experiences on that, just door to door specific, what are 2 or 3 lessons that if someone has had their license for a little bit and they want to go door to door, from those 2 activities, what have you learned that they could take that would help them?
I would say first thing was to come into each conversation with just really great enthusiasm. I feel like if you're excited to be talking to somebody and you're not, I wouldn't say anxious, but I think you have to convey a sense like, hey, I want to talk to you about something and it's important. And having that energy on the door, a person might be having a bad day. They might be, right? You have no idea what they're experiencing on their life. But if you come in with good energy, I felt like I was able to turn a lot of conversations that might have just ended just by really being enthusiastic. So I feel like that's something that you can control that because that's in your power.
Yeah.
So how you approach every door, and then just being able to adapt your pitch. Because again, I've never sold window cleaning services door to door.
Which New Jersey, if you need your window clean, David will do it for you.
I can do it too. So that was an interesting, again, just, hey, listen, this is what we're doing. You surprised us with this challenge, which I'm like, all right, game on, let's do it. And just every time we would go up to a new door, what I said this last time, all right, that didn't really work out so well. So being able to change it, whether it was the tone, the body language, or just the specific phrasing, and I would see, I would get a little further the next time, and then the next time, and then we finally hit. And it was great because it's just constantly a very big thrill on the doors to constantly be able to change and adapt.
Yeah. And one thing I'll point out too, and we'll get back to the other question, is I don't think anyone cares, but you were getting smashed by my team for basically the entire time. And you hadn't sold one, but then there's 5 minutes left, 10 minutes left.
Right. Literally at the buzzer almost.
Yeah. And you saw a door and you said, I think that might be the one that we get. And then you got it. And so it's an incredible example of if you go door to door and you prospect in your area, then set a time limit and work the entire time. Yeah. Because most of the time you'll find when you're prospecting door to door, it really is that last one. And it's the desire to get one because you don't want to go home empty-handed per se.
So and it was the last door.
It was. Yep, it was. Okay. Other question was, last one, since working with me, what's been 1 or 2 unique things that you've picked up from working with me that you might have not picked up anywhere else? In regards to business, maybe life, you and I talk about that a lot. Yeah. But what would be 1 or 2 things that you could share that would help them in their business? I
think from working with you, not even considering just the real estate aspect of what I've learned from as on that aspect, I think it's just the overall of really living a life with purpose and being able to take that purpose, and whether, again, it's the business, it's the family, it's the religious side, it's really any part of your life that I've gotten to interact with you, I've noticed, I'm like, man, he really lives with intention and purpose. No matter what it is, there's always so much behind the planning and the execution that I'm like, wow, I thought I planned things. But then I look at how Jeremy really lays things out. I'm like, oh man, I have so much I can improve upon and take. And I feel like that's what it's something like took that with me and applied it. And again, still even don't do it at your level yet, but I could see how where I was 12 months ago compared to now is so much better because of all those, again, lessons that you taught me, not even just real estate wise, but overall, like, hey, how do you want to live your life?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love that. And honestly, I'd rather hear that than anything else. If you can fix that part in your life, the business will come.
Yeah.
But you'll be happy while you do it. I'd rather you have less business, but be a happier person, live life with intention, than do a ton of business and be dead on the inside.
Yeah.
So love that. Okay. Well, thanks a ton for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. All right, guys. So as we wrap up this episode, we've got 2 more that are really unique, but I think will help you a ton. Both these realtors haven't had their license for that long, but they're seeing this really cool growth. One has had exponential growth in the last 6 months compared to his first 6 months. And the other one had tried to get a deal, multiple brokerages, couldn't get one, joined our team, and under 30 days has her first one. So these are 2 great examples. You're going to take a couple more notes. And after this is done, you should be able to walk away from this episode seeing that there's lots of different things that potentially you could change to go do 25 deals by the end of the year. So first, let's have Brandon on. Brandon, come on on, buddy. Okay. He had to duck underneath the light because he's 7'4". Close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty close. Okay. All right, Brandon. So thanks a ton for being willing to hop on here. Okay. So his story will not only inspire and motivate a lot of you, but it also teach you practical things that if you're not where you want to be, even out the gate, you got to abandon ship and bail, because if you wait and wait and wait, 84% of realtors are done in their first 2 years. And you're a great example of, you saw something wasn't working and you got out, you burnt the ships, course corrected, and here we are. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
So I was having some issues with the beginning of my real estate career. I had one deal within the first 6 months and nothing was clicking. There was just no help in sight. And I just, I met you at a mastermind, and you didn't try to recruit me or anything like that. You're just giving us basic information on door knocking. And that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. And because I said I would never door knock a day in my life because in St. George, it's too damn hot here. Yeah. And I'm not doing that during the summer. Yeah. And that's when we met.
Unless you want to move here, it's an amazing place to move. And there's two realtors that could help you.
Yeah. It's great.
But it's hot.
And so I think a month had gone by, and I looked you up on Instagram, and I just decided, hey, can I reach out and give you a call? And you remember me from the mastermind, which was crazy because there was like 80 agents there or something like that. So I reached out, gave you a call, and, I was in the office by myself. Nobody was there. And I was like, what am I doing? And so I gave you a call, and I was like, hey man, I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to do now. My deals have stalled and there just seems no relief in sight. And I remember what you just said, burn the boats, get out of there. You want to, and this was at the end of the year. And I was like, yes, I need to burn the boats if I want to get off to a strong Q1. And so it took about a couple of weeks, got everything moved over. And ever since then, it's been pretty much to the moon. 7 deals within the first 6 months has been crazy. I've been able to provide for my family. I've been able to, I've learned a lot, and a lot of things that you do differently than I was doing. So a lot of the training, the role plays that we have 2 times a day, usually I can't participate, but I'm in there listening. And based off that and all the packets that you've given me, I've been able to communicate with clients a lot better. I've been able to have those conversations and just open their eyes to what's possible. And then, having a business plan, never had one, never was offered one.
Crazy.
Business plan was a life changer right there, because it was like, how many homes do you want to sell? I was like, I want to do like 6 or 7 in my first year. And, that's great. And to like, hey, how many homes do you need to survive? How many do you need to sell to survive? And then let's break that down. And so we found out what my number was. And so that is the goal that we're trying to set right now. But like the training, you got to show up. You got to show up. You got to show up for your team. You got to show up for your coach. You got to show up for each other. You got to show up for your clients. And the training has been such a game changer for me. And so like there's a quote by Sharon, our former CEO of Real. And it says, if you think practicing is boring, try sitting on the bench. So, if you're not practicing, if you're not out there on those role plays, if you're not, writing scripts, because like we have guys that write scripts, and it's amazing. So you got to get out there, you got to show up, and you got to practice.
And all this part-time. So crazy, right?
Goal going full-time.
Yep.
And that's going to happen pretty soon.
Yep. So again, if you're watching this and you're just got your license and your first 6 months is not off to the good start, most are in that position. But Brandon, you have such a good story of identify that it's not in a good spot and don't be stuck with sunk cost, right? It's okay that you feel like you're loyal to your brokerage or your broker or your coaching group, whatever it is, but you got to get to the point where you burn that boat and you have to bet on yourself. Go get the right training and get a business plan, role play practice, do what most people will tell you to do, but they don't show you how to do it. And then your business can take off immediately. So the next time you guys hear from Brandon in a couple months, he'll be full-time, and that'll be another really cool story. But even if you're part-time, you can still go do, 14, 20 deals a year, which he's on pace to do, by simply knowing how to talk to people, work your database, have a business plan, and actually have intention. So awesome. Well, love you, brother. Yep. Thanks a ton for being here. So our last one, we have to save the best for last. And you think, wow, there's so many dudes. I know, but there's also We saved Maria for the end because she's the best. You guys will love her. But an incredible story of, again, a newer realtor, just tried so many different locations and spots that weren't working, but she kept looking and kept trying and kept figuring that there was another way to do it, found it, and now has her first deal under contract and potentially her first listing, which is coming. And so you guys will learn a lot of really good things here in the next 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to wrap up. So grab your notes, fill out the gaps of what you're missing that you could learn from her to go do 25 deals this year. All right, Maria, come on up. Okay. How are you?
Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
So good.
Perfect.
Okay. You like how I said save the best for last?
Oh, you know
it's
what?
so true.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
They just had to cue it up for you. Okay. Well, let's talk about this. So give us a little bit about your experience before, after, and then let's talk advice so these people that watch this can go do more deals.
Yeah. So I started about a year ago with real estate. I was doing it part-time. I wasn't too happy with the broker that I was with. I'm not going to say any names, but just, it just wasn't giving me what I was looking for. A lot of times they were doing a little more old school, which I kind of felt was not my thing. I needed something a little more modern.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt that that's where you came in to help me out. I was a little scared to join your team at first,
We first talked a couple months ago.
Yes.
I couldn't close her.
Right. And, it was more for me. It had nothing to
Yeah.
do with Jeremy. I just didn't have that confidence. I came back and Jeremy helped me build that confidence, and I got my first deal in the first 30 days. So
which is
I'm really
awesome.
happy about that. Yes.
Yep. So again, talk to us about just your experience last 30 days. What's different you're seeing here that obviously didn't have before?
So first with routine was really important to me. I didn't have that down.
The 4 a.m. wake up, right?
Right. The 4 a.m. wake up, and then having you also really nitpick at myself and realize what was it, that was going on. And no one really had me do that before. So just, holding myself accountable and knowing that it had a lot to do with me and being a part of the right team was important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you've done real estate for 6 months, a year, you pretty much know how real estate works.
Right.
You've just never had a bird's eye view of someone come in and say, let's tweak that, let's tweak that, let's tweak this. And what's cool is at the end of the day, I told you, you need the training, but also you have such a unique personality. You're going to get business that's going to be different than how I get business. That's going to be different than how they get business. Yes. But you're going to learn structure and skills, and however that comes, you'll be ready to close them. And you did.
Yes. And definitely having the skills, because if I wasn't prepared to talk to that other client that came, to me, I wouldn't have known what to say. I probably would have lost that deal. So just having that confidence and knowing what to say because of the scripts is really important.
And then what's cool is even we were doing window cleaning yesterday.
Yes.
Which you crushed. So Salt Lake City, if you need window cleaning,
yes,
Maria will do it for you. But you were even in the car hey, what do I say to the listing agent here? How do I phrase this? And you and I walked through every single part of it. When you first get your license, you have to have that hand holding.
Yes.
You have to have it because that's how you learn. And then you do it a couple times and then you know how to do it. And then all of a sudden it's okay, now you can do it on your own in a sense.
I learned that on my first transaction that you definitely need a whole village to do just one transaction.
You do.
So
yep. And then you got a TC.
Yes.
Because that's one thing that was okay, you need a TC. Don't become an expert in that. Go get a transaction coordinator. Found you one. And then, all right, let's figure out how to work with the listing agent, present your offer, and you do need that village.
Absolutely. Don't try to do everything all on your own. You can only do one thing and definitely get the help that you need. So definitely my advice would be find a good team, find a good support, and find a good mentor that, will guide you through everything that you need to do.
Yep. Love it. Okay. You're the best.
Perfect.
See? We saved the best for last.
Thank you.
It wasn't even a lie. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's wrap up. So this episode is really unique. The goal on this platform, if you've followed me for a while or you just started watching, is to lower the failure rate in the real estate industry. Well, how do we do that? We create the right culture, we get the right leadership on the boat, and we provide the right training. If we can do those things, if people can come in, feel safe, trusted, cared about, then they'll be more willing to listen to the training. And if we have the leadership collaborating with every realtor then that's what allows more real estate agents to do more business. So I hope you took a ton of notes, but also if you're in a tough spot, reach out and call me. Let's see if this would be a good fit to either come work with me on the brokerage team or come work in coaching. Sometimes you just need, like you heard today, the smallest of details to take your business to the next level. So go do 25 deals by the end of the year. You should have a ton of notes in order to do that. Super excited for next week. It's going to be a great episode, which again will help you do more business.